girls, split up into pairs, and if it's not, threes. If you're boys, just turn to the person you're sitting next to. Ideally, if you're not, not brothers and stuff like that, so maybe sit next to somebody you don't speak to so often. I'm available because I don't know most of you. And I want you to just briefly share in between your pair the best response you've demonstrated in a stressful situation, in your opinion, and the worst kind of response or reaction to a stressful situation. Okay? In the recent, year or so. I mean, I don't want things of like when you were a baby and your mum dropped the water bowl up in your you crying for 5 hours. Stuff more like in the last kind of year or so, okay? So if you just split up in the pairs, see where that takes us, and we can see maybe how in our little society here, your Jammin crew, how are you dealing with stress, and then we can see if we can give some tools and tips to improve it, okay? Partners, because the partner may not want to share it, but does anybody want to share their own one? A good way of how everybody's going to be proud of this. So, anyone dealt with a stressful situation in a way that you think is quite pleasing, was made you happy?
I think we all have that stress of our exams, but I find it's really relieving to write everything down and maybe speak to a friend, because what they may have to say or suggest may not be what you might think of yourself. And writing things down, structuring things, helps you then tackle it. I think in the past, by not thinking about something, it's gradually built up and made it more stressful for me.
That's the idea. We did have slides, but we thought it's a small group. Thank you, Nitesh. And the whole idea was called the pressure cooker. The girls know about this. The boys probably just go in the kitchen to eat only, but they don't know how food is made. But there's something known as a pressure cooker. It's like a silver thing, where the fire comes on the gas, you put it on and you put your kitchen in there, and then 10 minutes later, that's when Mom usually says, food's ready, and we come downstairs. But anyway, so there's a pressure cooker, and the idea is just slowly the pressure builds more and more, and you may have seen the video in front of you. This might be a good time to show the video, if you want to.
Do it.
Okay, no problem. So in that video, which kitchen, no problem, which kitchen,
the one that Casey made,
okay, the one that Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu made, who's conveniently holding a video again at my face. It showed how slowly, as Nitesh was describing, the work pressure just increases to a point where you just and you rip your hair out if you put it. So anyway, you guys have probably heard about it in the news and stuff like that. Remember 2.5 Men? Charlie Sheen, the main actor, Playboy. He's over the last 2 years, he's just gone from worst to worst to worstest, if that's an English word. And Demi Moore also had gone from, as the slide shows, a very attractive lady to a skinny, very unhealthy bag of flesh. And this happens to people, and these are the extremes in society. We understand Michael Jackson, they're the big breakdowns, but we all here today individually have our breakdowns as well. We just can cope with it at the moment, but as you guys go into your investment banking, engineering and medicine, God forbid dentistry, if you go into these fields, there are going to be days where it gets too much. And the idea today is to see if there's some tools to maybe try and cope with them, but at the same time, if there's a solution to actually get rid of the root cause of why we get stressed out. Alright, so we'll try and do that together. So, what I need, there are some statistics, but I don't really want to bore. Actually, there's a couple of good ones. One is in 1950s in America, they did a study and they found out that the 3 most serious problems in schools were talking when the teacher was speaking. I can hear by your hickling that this is just baby stuff. Sticking gum under the desk and distracting the teacher during class. Unfortunately, 50 years on, society has led to the 3 biggest problems at schools being drug abuse, teenage pregnancy, and knife and gun crime. Just go to BBC News, you'll hear about it every day. all week long. It happens again and again, right? You've all seen it, unfortunately. And you're all at school. You just raise your hands. Do these things happen in your schools? Yeah?
Teenage pregnancy.
Yeah, that's true. Wait until you go to college. And as you could see, when I was standing up, I'm fairly on the short side. And the players I would be playing against would be tall, massive black guys, you know, like 17 feet tall or something. And when the ball's in, I was playing centre midfield, and when the ball's in the air, for the girls that don't know, you know, when you jump and hit it on the head, it's called a header. So I would have to compete for winning the ball. You're playing hide and seek. If anybody does need to get up, you can stand up. You don't have to do, you know, gladiator course. So yeah, so there was this black guy. I just couldn't. It was pointless. He was just too big and black. It was just too big. But I had to try because I was just too passionate. So I was fouling him a lot, kicking his shins a lot, pulling his shorts down and everything. And then at half time, when the ref blew the whistle, he came up towards me, barged me. I got up the floor, as I went flying. I got up, and to my surprise, he pulled out a knife from under his shorts. You know, in his, like under the under the shorts. Pulled out a little Swiss Army knife and pulled it out and said, "You fouled me again." And he pulled it out of my neck, and I just thought, oh my God, this guy is stressed out. So even in my school years, it happened. I just thought, you know, surely you've got to deal with this in a better way. Anyway. The World Health Organization have found many stats. They said that 50% of heart attacks are due to stress. Every day in the UK, 270,000 people. 270,000 people. Just think about the amount of people you know. 270,000 people take a day off every day in the UK at calling in sick. Your parents probably do it when you have exams or something like that to look after you. And that costs the NHS £7 billion every day in all that sick leave. So it's ridiculously high what stress can do. Me and my wife work, so we know about it. Nervous breakdowns. World Health Organization in 1990, they came up with a statement saying that stress and mental illness will be the biggest killer in 30 years' time, and it will supersede cancer. And what year are we in now?
2013.
So in 7 years' time, that prophecy will come true, and we can already see in TV, Amy Winehouse. She died due to stress. Michael Jackson died due to stress. So it's happening every day around us. But it's one of these things no one ever talks about. It happens to everyone else, but we never think it's ourselves. In our Vedic scriptures, Maharaj Yudhishthira is having a conversation, and he asks, "What is the most amazing thing you see in life?" And it said that every day we see people die around us, but we never think it's going to happen to us. So stress is similar to that, right? It happens, everyone's stressed out, you're stressed out, but you never think it's going to give you a nervous breakdown. So although it's interesting background noise, but although it's interesting to think that all these celebrities are going crazy because they got too much money. They're getting drunk and they're driving all these fast cars and stuff like that, and we're just innocent Indian students and stuff like this. Well, when you do go into the big wide world, working, get married, kids and all that, mortgages, it does affect many people, and it also affects devotees. So, but there is a solution, so it's not all doom and gloom. So, could I get, is there a pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never make these whiteboards for short people. Okay, so what I want you guys to do
Sorry.
By stress. So you're all about to sit your exams, right? In about a month or so, 2 months or something. And you may have relationships, boyfriend and girlfriends, and if you don't have anything, your parents always seem to stress us out somehow. So, how does stress affect your body? How does it affect your mind, your behavior, and your emotions? So if you can I get a scribe? Someone's a bit taller than me. Anyone else? Anyone other than Abhishek Krishna, my wife?
Roger.
Okay, thank you very much. What's your name? Mittul. Let's get a round of applause for Mittul. Okay, so what I want to ask is you guys can semi-organized shout things out. How does stress affect your body? Let's hear some.
Tiredness.
Yeah.
Tiredness, okay.
Fatty.
Fatty.
Same thing.
Fatigue.
Yeah, you lose weight. You lose weight.
Lose weight. Okay. Yeah, lose weight or gain weight. So right way, up, down. Anything else, guys? Body? How does it affect your body? Anyone? Well, most of you look too young, but exam periods? Yeah?
Yeah.
Everyone gets it, well, on that side of the room. Get exam periods, right? Anything else? Does anyone have eczema? No? I had eczema when I was younger. I found out when you get stressed. No? Yeah, you get skin irritations and dry skin and stuff. It affects the body.
It's because you don't use water.
Well, it's also stress. Stress is a biological. It's mainly a biological reaction to the demands to your being, body, mind, as well, collectively, and it sends out stimulants, hormones. Anyone that studied biology, I've forgotten all the fancy names, leukotrienes and things like that. Forgive me, I've forgotten, but it affects the body as well. Some other ones, headaches.
Oh yeah.
Everyone remember you get paracetamol out about April, May time. Alright, and how about the mind? How does it affect everyone's mind?
Stupid decisions.
Stupidness. Go straight in there. Distraction? Yeah, the mind gets distracted, doesn't it? I remember I was sitting my 4th year dental exams. I was at Halls that year, and as my wife will tell you, my room is immaculately tidy. Everything has its exact centimeter position on OCD. And I was studying one day, and it was only about a week before the exam. For some odd reason, I just had a sudden desire to just alphabetically reorganize my iTunes library on my laptop. It took me like 3 days to do it. It's like thousands of lectures of like, you know, different things. And I had to alphabetically, and it's the mind does that, you know. The whole year I didn't care, but during exam time I needed to do it, so the mind does get distracted very quickly. Anything else to do with the mind? Or is over in this quiet corner? It's like the detention area or something. How does it affect your mind? How is your mind being affected when you've been studying this week?
It's me getting distracted.
Being distracted?
Lose
Anything else?
patience. Lose patience.
Impatience, very good. Somebody was, yeah, you were telling me with the laptop, it was getting hot, it was a hot day, you just get like impatient. I said, rather we know also was getting impatient in the video until you popped. Some other things, negativity, you start feeling down about yourself, you feel a bit like, oh, maybe I can't do this. Yeah, okay, behavior-wise, what happens to your behavior when you start getting stressed? Don't just think exams, you can also think other things. Maybe a first date, you know, it's a bit of a stressful situation. Yeah,
You might become a bit more aggressive.
aggressive, very good. Yeah.
On your first date.
That's why it's going to be like, calm down, calm down. Aggressive, anything else? you're a bit too young. But smoking, you know, many people resort to smoking when you get stressed out. Kish?
Can you shut people up? Shut people up?
Yeah, you're very, you become isolated.
So bad eating habits.
Bad eating habits, not eating enough, eat too much.
Eating junk food.
Loud? You,
Loud and
okay, yeah, more hyperactive.
hyper. Get really irritable.
Irritable, very good.
Irritable.
There is something here from some research, loss of, anyway,
So lots of what?
loss of appetite, let's call it that.
I don't need that.
No, it's alright. Okay. Alright, and emotions. How are your, maybe the host can enlighten us. How are your, oh sorry. That's unfair. Boys as well. How are your emotions affected when you're stressed out? Anger. Sadness. Loss of confidence. Yeah. You start getting stressed out, you just feel that maybe you can't do it. You think about it, that's why we cram, right? I don't think I'm going to get it done. But actually you've already studied that same sheet 10 times. You know it inside out, and all of a sudden, because it's the 29th of May and your exam's on the 30th of May, all of a sudden now you don't think you know it, you know, so you start losing confidence in yourself. Depression, you know, we start feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, you know, I'm not going to do it. We were speaking to the boys earlier, and this whole thing, you girls probably know this as well, is when you go to school or college after Easter and you say, oh yeah, we start revising, and everyone's like, no, you're like, maybe not. And you start getting, you know, very competitive with each other. So also that can be an emotion that you start getting very competitive, and you start feeling not so confident in yourself. So you start having to do the rat race of keeping up with everyone else. So thank you very much, Little. Good, thank you. Okay, so I think there was a couple of guys that want to do maths and finance or something. So here's a lot of these things may not be relevant to you, but let's see how stressed out you are. Okay, so you've got to keep count. I'm going to run through this quite quickly. So, how many of these life events have you experienced in the past year, 12 months? Okay. All you have to do is just keep account of how many affected you in the last year. Okay? Moving house, getting married, new baby, divorce, injury, illness, new job, loss of a job, inheriting or winning money, financial problems, injury of a loved one, death of a loved one, victim of crime, legal problems, new boyfriend or girlfriend, broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend, stopped smoking, went on a diet, new responsibilities at home, new responsibilities at work or school, no place to live, hopefully. Let's not have a counselling session. Hospitalization, drinking or using street drugs caused problems. You don't have to tell me yes to which one, just keep it all private. Okay, so who had one life event from there?
At least.
Yeah, at least one. Okay, keep your hands up if it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
One more.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're 18. What the hell are you doing? You don't smoke, do you? I appreciate a good boy. Okay, well, basically, he said if you had 1, you've got moderate stress. If you got 2 or 3, it's high stress, but it's still you can still cope with it according to national averages. If you've got more than 4 life events, very high stress, and you need help. So we should all take half a second to pray for Abhishek. So close your eyes and pray to Lord Krishna that he gets less stressful lifestyle.
What happened last week?
I need to speak to you. Anyway, daily hassles checklist. How many of you experienced in the past week? Not enough money to take care of necessities, not enough money to spend on leisure, crowded living situation, crowded public transportation, everyone's got one, long drives or traffic backups, feeling rushed at home, feeling rushed at work, arguments at home or arguments at work, doing business with unpleasant people, depends what you mean by that, noisy situation at home, noisy situation at work, not enough privacy at home, minor medical problems, lack of order or cleanliness at home, lack of orders or cleanliness at work, unpleasant chores at home or work, living in a dangerous neighborhood. Okay, let's do that again. 1. Everyone should. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys at the back are quite chilling in life. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10.
I rate that respect.
You guys are your best friends, huh? Grey hairs. That's why he's got a hat on to cover the grey hairs at the back. Okay, so what I wanted to show from that is we've all got stress. Either be 1 event, 10 events. He said it was in the past week, lots happened. We're going to have weeks where different people have different levels of stress, but it's going to happen, right? So first I gave kind of very extreme cases, Demi Moore, Charlie Sheen, Michael Jackson. And then I tried to bring it back to science, and they're saying that it does affect everybody nationally, and it's also affecting all of us. So actually we should be very, very mindful to some of the tips that are given, because if it's affecting us, and it's not something, stress has usually got a negative connotation related to it, if we can try and cope better with it, with some tips, it will be very useful for our general life, right? Now, I was speaking to Nitesh earlier, and he was saying that sometimes stress can be a good thing, right? Who here feels that stress helps them? They like being in a stressful environment. Okay, and that's because different people have different natures. According to the Bhagavad Gita, it explains 3 modes. Yeah, so you guys have heard of the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And they're very overlapped, so there's no such thing as like Harrow is a city of mode of passion. There's no like, you know, or Abhishek is in the mode of goodness. It's not like that. I mean, he is, but he's an exception. There's a very intimate crossover between these 3 modes, and it describes that certain people have different natures, and different people enjoy stressful situations. Some people can't cope in stressful situations, and we learn how to cope. But some of these tips will help. So stress brings us to 3 reactions: flight, fright, or fight. Okay? So flight means you leg it. Basically, you know, your girlfriend's having a big old rant at you, and you just think, you know what, I'm out of here, and you just walk away, and you come back and deal with it another day because it's just too much. Or let's see, flight. Anyone, another example of where you just, in terms of the flight, there's a stressful situation and you just think, allow this, you don't deal with it, you just run away.
Like friendship problems.
Okay, would you like to just share me an example?
Basically, like when friends are having like an argument and you're in the middle of exams and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't be asked to do this anymore. After your exams, and like maybe like when you're free,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it then and then.
It's thank you. It's negative at the initial point because you don't deal with it. But if you're walking away with the idea of dealing with it afterwards, it's very positive because it gives you a little bit of a space to understand everything. We'll talk about that concept a little bit later. Then there's fright. Basically, a stressful situation comes up and you just get scared. I'll give you an example. As a dentist, I had a very intimidating Afro-Caribbean man, new patient, came to my surgery. Sat down, done a dental checkup, and I went to touch a tooth to check if there was any decay on it, as my normal routine goes. And he just stood up, and you know, you have these black patient glasses on, just got up, threw them on the floor. I thought, uh-oh. So then he came up and walked very slowly and purposefully towards me. I got up and I was thinking, oh my God, Krishna, he's going to eat me. I was terrified, to be honest. But I did calm myself down, and one of the tips again is just understanding the situation, why he's stressed out. And if you understand, as I was explaining to Anand, if you can learn, understand cause analysis, what causes stress, it helps again. So that's one way. You just get really, really scared and completely bewildered. But luckily, I had some tips to then fall back onto. And the last is fight, which means you stay there and you fight about it. And we're going to talk about a very good story of how a very famous person, which you'll all know and you're going to find out more about, of how he stayed in a very, very stressful situation and carried on fighting. Right. So, there were many videos at this point, but we'll crack on. So there's 10 tips that I would like to share with you. These come from research from the internet, from other. If you want, I can send a little kind of summary handout to Kishan to then give out to you guys. But also, if you want, on your phones, you can make little notes of anything that particularly might work for you. They're not all going to be for you, but some of them may work for you, some may not. But also, don't start texting your boyfriend and girlfriends. Just use it for this purpose. Anyway, so number one is, in my opinion, the most important: time management. Okay, and as students, you all absolutely have to nail this. You all, from what I heard, you're all A star, A double star students anyway. So I don't have to really worry that you seem to be managing your time. But maybe that's a lot to do with your parents wanting you to become the best, doctor in the world or something. But when you're on your own feet in the big wide world, out of your parents' house, how are we doing for time?
Yeah,
We don't have time.
no, we don't.
Okay. Yeah. So time management is very important, and what I would like to share with you is the time management matrix. This, if you don't take anything away from today, please try at least this out for the next week or two. Draw this on a white piece of paper, as my wife Kasturi will do. I'll just draw a box. And this is called a time management matrix. Very important. What it does is it basically delineates activities according to importance and urgency. Some things are urgent, which need immediate attention, and some things are important, and that's to do with your goals. Okay. For instance, in the Harvard Business School, which everyone's heard of, right? Harvard Uni in America. They done a study, and they found that they asked all the students in a specific sample, how many of you set regular goals? How many of us here set regular goals once a week, once a month? I want to achieve this, I will do this, I will do that. And it's all written down, and it's easy to correlate to and analyze if you're reaching your goals. How many? 2, 3, the score. 3% of people regularly set goals. 10 years later, after they had graduated and started working, those 3% were earning more money than the 97% put together. So you can imagine they were making quite a lot of money, because the other guys were not broke. But if you set regular goals, And if you learn the art of prioritizing your life and all the needs that come in life, you will earn bucks. You will become successful. More importantly, with the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, you will become peaceful. But it takes time. And as your students now, it's the best time. I did it all the way from my university. Really, it really helped. You know, and that's why I didn't join High Five, because you guys don't know about High Five. Before Facebook, yeah, it was before Facebook. Okay, so it goes a bit like this. Okay, you can take a picture of this. I'm not lying. This really will help. I know it looks a little bit simple, but it really works. You basically put things into urgent and important. Important, not urgent. Urgent, not important. Not important, not urgent. So, can I get a volunteer for my boy? Pick one. Yep, okay. What's your name?
Raj.
Raj. Okay, round of applause for Raj. If you could be kind enough to fill in some of the things that you have to do this weekend, and then separate them into them compartments. Just one thing in each part. Work as in...
Work at Tesco.
I think you'll be a good actor. But we are going to have to close the doors there. Okay, thank you very much, Raj. Nice to see you. Thank you. Okay, so maybe Raj, do you mind just explaining to us why is what do you understand by important?
Important means that you have to do it, and if you don't do it, it'll be big consequences. And urgent is, well, you have to prioritise it, so you have to do that first before anything else.
Okay. So, Steve Jobs, who used to own and run Apple, he said something to the lines like, if you wake up and you look in the mirror in the morning, if you feel like you're about to do something that isn't in relation to your goals in life, and that happens for 3 days, or maybe he said 5 days in a row, do not leave the house. Sit down, reevaluate life, and decide where you're going. And I think when you have this, what I had is, when you go to uni, you get these, Rav probably knows, but you get these kind of notice boards in your halls, and you pin up all the different flyers for all the different fresher events. But as devotees, we didn't do that. I stuck a big fat A3 piece of paper up there, split it in half, and I used to have post-it notes. And see that, so right now, eating is urgent but not important. But if he doesn't eat till tomorrow, it changes. So it's not that check your Facebook status is always not important, not urgent. Sometimes it is, you know. It may be your birthday, and you may think, okay, well, on my birthday, everyone's going to write to me. I have to write back, say thanks. So then it goes back to being maybe something important, but it's not urgent. It doesn't have to be done in that particular second, but it should be done at some point during the day. And I found it really useful having these post-it notes, and every day in the morning just thinking, okay, what needs to be where, you know? And it's a really good tip, so please try to take it on board. Then so the first was about time management. Number 2 is a healthy lifestyle. The Bhagavad Gita in chapters 14 to 17. Everyone is familiar with the Bhagavad Gita a little bit? Something, yeah? At least the name. It talks about the mode of goodness. So as we were saying, different modes. In the Bhagavad Gita, it explains very detailed food according to the different modes, and what is healthy food, what is its kind of qualities, the character of someone in the mode of goodness. So we can try that, and it goes in relation to body, mind, you know, together. So, for instance, one of the other aspects is we need to relax and recharge. Sometimes doing nothing for 10 minutes will allow you to do a lot for a few hours. Right? Does anyone find that sometimes you just sit there, look at count the holes in the ceiling, and well, hopefully everyone has better ceilings than that, but you know, just sit there and just space out. But actually that little bit of spacing out actually just allows your brain just to be in what is known as a relaxed state, an alpha zone. And that's called the relaxed alert zone. Okay? And science has shown that sometimes just relaxing really helps. Then there's another aspect, know your limitations. So there's a spiritual leader called Lokanath Swami in our Harrow Krishna movement. Some of you may know him. He has a very interesting story which he cites and that my spiritual master told me, and it's called The Village Logic of a Busy Man. It's very nice, I'll share it with you. Basically, my spiritual master was in charge of construction of a very important building in India, and you guys are too young, but Ravi's at the back. His dad's a big construction man, and it's an extremely busy, when you're in construction, when the job's going on, it's very, very busy time. So his name is Kadamakananda Swami, he's there and he's leading all these different workers and buying these materials, overseeing this magnificent building known as Prabhupada Samadhi. And then all of a sudden Lokanath Swami, he comes with thousands of pilgrims who are doing some walking procession through India, North India. And he arrives there, there's elephants, camels, everything. And they arrive in Mayapur, a place in India. And he says to this Kadamakananda Swami, he says, oh look, you know what, we're en route, do you mind just looking after my crowd? And Kadamakananda looks and says, it's like animals and there's 1,000 guests, I don't have any time to look after these people. And he said, look, in my village, where I come from, you always ask a busy person to do something. Even though they're extremely busy, the fact that they're busy means that they always get it done somehow. They always know how to they know their limits and they can always keep taking things on. And you can always ask a busy person to do that. And some of us, sometimes we feel like that. Maybe I want to please them, I'll do it for them, you know. Oh, can you drop me off here, or can you come with me shopping? And you're thinking, well, I don't really have time, but because I want to, you know, please them and I want to, you know, carry on my friendship with them, I'll do it. But what I want to raise to you is that, you know your limitations. I was speaking to a friend of mine today, Nanda Gopa, and we were just discussing, sometimes you have to learn the art of saying no. And you can do it, and you can just very honestly tell your friend, look mate, I've just got too much on my plate, I can't do it. So know your limitations, and there is something known as a stretched zone, spaced out zone, and a stressed out zone. So stressed out means when you've got too much to do and not enough time to do it. Spaced out means you've got too much time and not jack to do, basically, like a Saturday morning for most of you. And stretched out means you've just got enough time to just about do everything that needs to be done. And that's the ideal situation. And in my opinion, if you have something like this, that's the only way that you can actually get to the stretch zone. I am an extremely busy person, if I say so myself. The only reason I manage, sometimes I don't, the only reason I mainly manage is because even if mentally there's a note of this, like, okay, what's where, you know, what's important, what's urgent, what has to be done now, what can be put on hold. Okay, so I strongly recommend you, as you're young, if you get into the habit of like this, like the 3% in Harvard Business School, you'll become very successful. Okay, it's not about just passing the exam. Take this as a life skill. Cause analysis. In the material world, our expectations are here. Reality is often here. Right? Does anyone find that in life sometimes? Okay, most of you get A stars, but away from your educational excellence. And in other things, you know, you may on computer games, on what's it called? Pro Evo? FIFA, yeah. Alright, it was good then. On FIFA, you know, you may want to curl it into the top corner, hit the post, off the crossbar and in. But reality is it often just goes through the keeper's legs, or like it's just some crap shot. So, and that's the material. Spiritual world, actually, your expectation is here and the reality is there. So if we can understand what that is, the stress comes when our expectations are at a certain level and the actual reality is somewhere else. So if we actually are aware of the realistic expectations, you know, most people get an A. If I get an A star, fine. But if you're expecting an A star and for 4 years all you get is C, you know, it's kind of like you're going to get stressed out when you get a B in your final exam. So have some realistic expectations and use your friends to help you to understand what's realistic. You can't control everything. There's something known as a circle of concern and a circle of influence. There's some things you can have an influence over, and there's some things that you may be concerned about, like how your mum's feeling, or what the weather's going to be like on Sunday if you want to go and play football. You're concerned about it, right? You're talking on the phone. Should we go and play football? I know, Abhishek, we do that, isn't it? Sometimes we want to play football, but we're concerned about the weather. But you can't. What can you do about it? If it's going to rain, it's going to rain. It's out of your control. So sometimes in life, as you're young, but this is more for your future, or if you're looking to get into a certain university, ultimately it's out of your control. You have an influence, which is your studies, getting the grades. But after that, whether or not you were 259 and there was 258 spaces, that's out of your control. So then you don't get so stressed out about it. Yeah. So always try to keep that in the back of your mind, that some things are in your control and some aren't. Laughing is always recommended as a very, very good tool, and there's a lot of research about it, but basically laugh a lot and keep coming jamming. So go on a PS trip because you'll laugh a lot there. Right, so I just want to summarize with 2 points. We're all here, we're all coming jammings, we're all interested in Krishna consciousness. You've all been coming for 6 months, right? Or you all came here for food. Mom doesn't cook on Friday? Every other Friday? Alright, so are you all here kind of, trying to suss out if Krishna consciousness can provide some happiness, some answers to some of the problems in our lives? Well, Krishna consciousness is based about the whole ancient science of yoga, which means to connect. I'm sure you've heard all of this before, but there's 3 platforms: the body, the mind, and the soul. And the best way to relieve stress is on 2 platforms: the body and the mind. So for the body, physical exercise, what's we got? Diet, sleep, avoiding intoxicants, things that harm your body, like alcohol, drugs, things like that. On your mind, relaxation, pranayam, and the emotional traffic light. This emotional traffic light is a very nice tool given by one of our spiritual leaders, Sachinandan Swami. And basically, if you think about traffic light, red, yellow, green, when a stressful situation comes to you, and I want to bring this back to our beginning of these stressful situations. Imagine that situation where you reacted badly. Me and Anand were speaking about it, and all of you spoke about your individual ones. Imagine if at that time when that stress came to you, you could actually just put the red light on and just say, wait, hold on, what's going on? Why is this person stressed out? Why am I getting stressed out? So first is you've got to stop, you've got to give yourself a few seconds, or as, what's your name?
Ria.
Or as Ria's saying, sometimes you've got to walk away and give yourself more space. Sometimes I try to do that with my mum, like she's just nagging me. Sometimes I just walk away, go back, think about it, and then I come back and I say an answer a bit more kind of in a more composed way, something that's not going to be so detrimental to that important relationship. So in the emotional traffic light is very good. Stop, think about it, try to understand it, and then act. And when you act, try to act understanding what am I concerned about and what can I actually have an influence over. Yeah? But these are just tips to help stress. But as a practicing devotee of the Bhakti teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and as somebody who's been practicing for even 40 years, some of our leaders, there's still stress. And unfortunately, stress is always going to be there. It's just part of life. Or is it? And the Bhagavad Gita, There's a very nice analogy that can be drawn from it. Arjuna, is everyone aware of Arjuna and Krishna? Yeah. Arjuna is somebody who's very stressed out because he's just found out he's got to kill his granddad, his uncles, his cousins. He's got to kill all his family and loved ones, and he's thinking things like, well, if I've got to kill them, who the hell am I going to share this kingdom with? If they're all dead, what's the point? He's also thinking, if I kill them, I'm going to get all this sin. I'm going to have a lovely kingdom to enjoy, but then I'm going to have all these sinful reactions. So he's getting stressed out by this scenario. So from that scenario, he actually goes to Krishna, who he makes his guru, and he asks Krishna, how can I overcome this? And what Krishna explains is there's 3 types of yoga, and Krishna goes on to describe that the other 2 types of yoga can help you to come away from stress, but it doesn't get rid of the root cause of stress, which is, if I was to ask you guys, why do you think we get stressed out? Because the first stage of any solution is understanding the problem, right? In smoking, I've got to help people stop smoking as a dentist. I always say, what's the problem with smoking? And they all say, it's too expensive. I'm like, ha ha ha. But, what's the problem with stress? Sorry, not what's the problem. Why do we get stressed out? Fundamentally. Come on, A-star students. Why do you... Anyone else? Ria's A-star in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone else? Why do we get stressed out? We all get it. I mean, there's no wrong answer. Anyone else? Anyone fancy a guess?
It's going to be expectation that you set yourself, like you were saying before.
Okay, so I want to take it right down to the root cause. So we got expectations, but why do we build up such expectations? Why is an A-star expected as a good thing? Because of society, right? And society is made up of people, right? We're all in the same society, right? We're living people, human beings, right? So the fundamental cause is because we think we are this body. If we didn't think we were this body, why would we care how we look and if we fit in? Does that make sense? Why does it matter if you're a doctor rather than a dustbin man? Because all them activities, all them designations, all them identifications are to do with the body. If we come to a platform of where we see ourselves as spirit souls, the person inside the body, then what's the need for stress? And Krishna gives a very nice solution, because the opposite to stress is, what's the opposite to stress? Peace. Okay, thank you. So, right, do you guys follow, boys? Yeah? Nodding heads? Yeah? Okay, so we're stressed out, but the opposite of stress is peace. So Krishna gives, in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the peace formula. And he says that if we understand that God, or Krishna, is the supreme enjoyer, he's the person of all enjoyment, he's the supreme controller, so everything ultimately is in the hands of God, and according to his will, and that he owns everything, so ultimately we're here as just kind of people in his creation. If we can appreciate that Krishna is the supreme, and that we are, connected to him eternally in service, then we actually get peace. Now there's a long jump from where we are today as students living in Harrow and London to then being eternal servants of Krishna. But by reading the Bhagavad Gita every day, we can acquire that knowledge and faith to actually live a lifestyle like that. And an aspect of that is chanting Hare Krishna. But what I wanted to leave you with today is this: there are many tips to stress management, and you can find it up just by typing stress management in Google, and you can pretty much get the same stuff I'm talking about today. But the reason why Google isn't God is because it doesn't give the eternal truth. It doesn't get rid of the root problem, the root cause of stress, which is we think we're this body. And that's where all our expectations are coming from. A star is good, but like an A star to a fish is nothing. What's an A star to a fish? It's because we're in this human body. So if we can try to understand that we're not this body, we become very peaceful, and life becomes peaceful. And I know many of my friends, and even in my own lifestyle, that knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita comes to save me when I need it the most. You know, in a very frightening situation, like when that guy was about to mullah me alive. I just thought, you know what, he's peed off, but inside him is a very peaceful person. I just need to just give him that space to be peaceful again. Because I chilled out, he was chilled out, and then he ended up buying me a present afterwards, but that's because I charmed him. Anyway, I wanted to leave you with a very nice message, which is, there's many ways to overcome stress. You're all probably, in terms of practical things, I would strongly recommend 2 things: the time matrix and the emotional traffic light. If someone's about to pee you off, just think of a traffic light. It works, you know. Ravi was there, some of us were there. It really does work. Red light, just stop for a second, as Ria said. Go away. It may be for a second, it may be that you have to go away for a few years, and then come back and then deal with it. And then finally, the root cause will go is when you understand that your expectations are to do with your body, but you're not this body. So what is a life of a spirit soul? And we can understand that from Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. So, let me end with, who here has a Bhagavad Gita? Raise your hands. Nice and high, so it's clear. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Whose Bhagavad Gita doesn't have a plastic cover? So if it still has a plastic cover, keep your hand up. Okay. So what I want to say is the Bhagavad Gita is not a book like a trophy that stays on the shelf. It's something that we should be reading. You all read. Somebody was saying that, you know, you guys have textbooks thick like this that you study, and then after June you're going to completely forget all of it, because then you go on to your next whatever subject and stuff like this. The Bhagavad Gita, if you just read 2 verses a day, which takes about 5 minutes, this very day, next year, you would have finished the whole Bhagavad Gita. And that's a nice little challenge, right? If we only read 2 verses a day, but every day, regularly, because it is described in scripture, if we read regularly, it has an impact on our consciousness and our intelligence. So, without making a vow and a promise, there's no weight, there's no money involved, but would everybody feel comfortable about reading 2 verses a day and then see where we are with our stress and our consciousness and our lifestyle this time next year? Yeah? So, with that, I know Abhishek and Kishan have Bhagavad Gitas, maybe not today, but they can arrange them for you for your exam revision period. So you can always, and sometimes it is a holy book. Sometimes all it takes is just open up the book, make a prayer, and you can get some inspiration. Something to help you on that day where you're just thinking, I don't think I'm going to make this exam, or life's stressful, why did he not smile at me, why did she write that to me in a text message, and all of these problems that come day to day, the Bhagavad Gita can help. So please, my humble request is, please read your Bhagavad Gita every day, a little bit. Every day goes a long way. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.